Hi, everybody. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time if you haven't been here before. So, today we're going to do a sitting meditation. I want you to find a comfortable way to be, though. Um, if you're having pain in your body or you're feeling really tired, feel free to let yourself lie down today. And if you'd like to sit up, you can sit up supported with something against your back. Um, or you can sit on a cushion on the floor. So just tune into your body today and ask what it's needing. Even if you're somebody who just habitually sits on a cushion on the floor or in a chair, just tune in for a moment and just ask your body, what are you needing today to be supported and comfortable and at ease? And then listen and adjust as needed. As always, I would encourage you to either close your eyes, or if that doesn't feel safe or that doesn't feel right for you today, I would encourage you to focus or actually have a very soft gaze downward rather than watching the screen. You may even want to just set your computer or phone aside so that you're not tempted to look at the screen. It really, it's going to pull you out of yourself to see movement. And usually I'm pretty still, but sometimes I do move while I'm teaching, and it's gonna draw your attention outside of yourself. If you're having, however, a day where or your nervous system is really overactivated, sometimes people who have a history of PTSD or trauma, um, seeing someone's face can be very helpful. So if that feels true for you, then by all means listen to your own inner guidance about this. And above all, no matter how, I want to emphasize, no matter what I say or how I teach, listen to your own inner guidance, your own intuition, your own inner wisdom, always above what anyone else says, including me. So let's get settled and find your seat or your comfortable lying down position. If you're particularly sleepy, you could even do this standing up. If you are going to stand with a healthy posture, with your knees bent, not locked. And we're going to focus today on, at least in the beginning of the meditation, on the root chakra, also called the Muladhara chakra. Chakras are energy centers in your body. Um, some people can sense or see them. I cannot. But for many different forms of medicine and healing, there's this idea of an energy system. You know, from practices like Tai Chi and Qigong to acupuncture to the yogic system with the chakras. So you find this idea of energy in a number of different healing modalities. So you don't have to believe in anything or, adopt some sort of dogma by any means. But most of us can relate to the idea that sometimes we have a lot of energy and sometimes we have very little energy. And as you tune more and more into your body, you'll notice that the quality of your energy can vary. And we might name it different things. We might say, I'm nervous or I'm angry. But if you drop down underneath the words, you'll sense that there's a quality to different emotional states. And also just a quality of, openness or closed. There's various ways we can describe energy. And, I've been thinking a lot about the root chakra lately and doing a lot of root chakra practices on my own in my daily meditation. And it occurred to me that this might be useful for other people as well during this time, particularly because the Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, if it's out of balance, there's a lot of anxiety and fear. And having a balanced root chakra, having a sense of real grounding, can bring a sense of safety and stability. And there's many different ways we can support this part of our energy system. One of the main ways is connecting with the earth. So if you don't already have a practice of connecting with the earth on a regular basis, especially during these times, I would encourage you to start to have some sort of practice where you really are just very simply contacting the earth. And that may be walking barefoot, if that's accessible to you, on grass or sand or some other natural element of the earth. It may be sitting in a chair meditating outside with your feet, with your bare feet on the ground. And obviously that'll only work for another, month, 2 if we're lucky. Other ways, are just by being outside. So, as fall and winter come, your earth practice, your grounding root practice may be just taking a walk outside each day or putting your hands on a tree. I find also that the forest has a very, very grounding feel to it. I always feel much safer and more grounded after I've walked in the forest. And for those of you that live in Madison, we're very fortunate to have lots of great forested parks around the area. So I'd encourage you to get out as much as you can in the woods, if that's possible. And today we'll do some practices that hopefully you can use to help you feel more grounded and safe and secure. And I've mentioned before the free app for phone or computer called Insight Timer. And I'm finding on Insight Timer that if you type in root chakra, chakra is Chakra, if you type that in, it comes up with all sorts of music, sound healing, because each chakra has a vibration or a tone that is in tune with it. And so there's many musicians out there who are tapping into the aspect of sound healing, and even just listening to music that has the frequency of the root chakra can be very healing. And it all works through vibration. So when it comes in through your ears, it's vibrating your energetic system. There's also lots of meditations on Insight Timer that are geared towards healing and balancing the root chakra. So I would invite you over the next several weeks. I'm thinking about maybe doing kind of a series where we go through each of the chakras and focus on one particular chakra each month or so, or for a few weeks. So we'll see how that unfolds. But for today, what I want you to start with is really getting a sense of your low spine. So you can feel your sits bones, or where your pelvic bones contact the floor or the chair, whatever you're sitting on. If you're lying down, you can feel that as well. And I want you just to visualize the base of your spine. So if you can imagine the bottom of your spine, these energetic centers, they're not, it's not, the human mind can't really conceptualize of them very well. At least mine can't. So they're not really exactly located in one exact spot, but if you read about the root chakra, you'll read that it's said to be centered sort of around the base of the spine. The color that is associated with this chakra is red. As I said, there are people who can see energy, and some of them have described it as sort of an earthy, reddish, brownish tone as well. So start by imagining a sphere of that burgundy red light located in your body at the base of your spine. It can be however small or big you want it to be. And I want you to breathe. Imagine that when you breathe in, your breath is traveling from your nose, and breathe the breath deep, deep, deep into the abdomen. And imagine that you can breathe the breath right down into the base of the spine. So there's not a lot of movement in the upper lungs and the shoulders. There's some, but mostly you're going to feel the movement in the belly. Maybe even place one hand on your belly, and feel it as it expands with the in-breath. And retracts, the belly button retracts towards the spine with the out-breath. If you notice that when you breathe in, your belly sucks in, you're not using your diaphragm. And many people breathe like this, but it really, and it increases that fight or flight feeling in the body to breathe that way. And so just adjusting the way you're breathing and using the diaphragm to breathe more than the upper body can, over time, really bring about more safety and peace. May sound really simple, but especially when we're anxious, we tend to not use diaphragmatic breathing. The body kind of goes into this very shallow upper lung breathing, and it happens really unconsciously. So if you're anxious or in a state of fear, or just for general health as well, see about emphasizing that belly breathing for now. And if you notice that it's really hard to shift this, be patient with yourself. This can be, if you've been breathing, where your belly sucks in every time you breathe in, and your belly goes out when you breathe out. If you've been breathing backwards like that for a really long time, it's not going to be a quick fix, even though it seems like it should be. So be really patient with yourself. And if you're having a hard time getting what I'm meaning, you may want to lie down. It's easier to feel this when you're lying down. So for those of you who you've been doing this and you know what I'm talking about, just stay with your awareness and even imagine the breath going lower than the abdomen, right down to the base of the spine and the perineum, right down to the base of your body. You may even feel your buttocks and your pelvic bones and that whole area that we sit on just getting heavier, more relaxed, and more grounded. And with each in-breath, we're breathing into that burgundy red sphere. Imagine that it expands with the in-breath and that it just kind of softens or contracts a little bit with the out-breath. So see or visualize this reddish burgundy sphere expanding at the base of the spine with the in-breath, breathing into it. And then with the out-breath, the sphere softens or relaxes. Let's do that together for several minutes. And just like with any other form of meditation, this is our chosen object of awareness right now. And so if the mind wanders to thoughts or planning or really anything, any other phenomena, just simply recognize what the mind is wandering to and bring your focus back. And if you notice a sense of fear or anxiety, be aware of where you're feeling that in your body, if that's accessible. And try to bring just a sense of patience, a sense of kindness to yourself, a sense of awareness that for most people right now is a difficult time. And even if things are going smoothly in your life and it doesn't feel that difficult, there's a lot of difficult energy out there right now. But we can use this as a time of transformation and going inward. And we can use it as a time to recognize that we can move toward these emotional states that we've avoided for so long because we've been taught to fear our emotions. And in fact, emotions get bigger and stronger when we turn away from them and ignore them. And emotions transform and soften when we turn towards them with loving kindness, with loving awareness. And above all, go with your own intuition. So if anything during any of the meditations is triggering or difficult for you, simply pause, open your eyes, get a drink of water, walk around. And if you feel like coming back to it, then come back. So many of us have some sort of trauma or things we might not even recognize as trauma in our backgrounds that are creating a lot of fear and anxiety right now. And so I just really want you to be extra patient and extra gentle with yourself and recognize that pushing and striving and pushing through pain and suffering and making yourself sit through something that you feel like isn't good for you, it's not going to be in your long-term benefit. So really listen to the inner voice. So that being said, for those of you that this is feeling resonant, stay with the breath, breathing down into this burgundy red sphere at the base of the spine and breathing out, and the sphere softens and the whole body softens as well with the out breath. Imagining that the entire exhale is one big letting go, one big release. As you tune in to the reddish brown sphere, it may be enlarging with each in-breath. And it may even enlarge to the point that the sphere is no longer just contained within your body and that pelvic low spine region, may even expand outwards outside of the physical outline of your body. Or it may stay small and contained within the physical body. There's really no right or wrong about this. So continuing with breathing into the reddish brown sphere, imagining that you can direct the in-breath right down to the base of the spine. And then with the out breath, we're going to add on to this visualization and imagine that there's a reddish brown cord of light energy with each out breath that is burrowing its way down into your chair from almost like a tail coming out of the bottom of your spine and rooting and anchoring you into the earth, helping you feel grounded, anchored, and safe. So, with each in breath, you're breathing energy into the sphere, and with each out breath, the root grows deeper and deeper into the center of the earth, burrowing down through all the layers of soil. You may even see the tree roots as your root passes by them, the mycelium, all the fungi, communication systems, the water, the aquifers, various layers of sediment, different layers of rock. And the root grows deeper and deeper and deeper until it reaches the center of the earth. This root is connecting your very being to the core of the earth so that you may feel this earth energy, this grounding, stable, motherly, nurturing energy. So continue this visualization. We'll breathe together. And now, if you've been staying with this visualization of this red sphere and breathing into it, we're just going to add one thing on. And it's sort of like a seeing, but it's also an imagining of a feeling. So you're imagining the feeling of an energy in this area that's moving clockwise. So, what I mean by that, and you may visualize it first, is imagine that the reddish brown sphere is spinning, and the direction it's spinning is clockwise. So it's spinning as if the front of it is at your belly button, and then it's moving to your back around the right side of your body, and then from your back around the left side of your body to the front of your body. So that's the direction that the sphere is spinning. And you might visualize it, but you might always also just kind of just slowly move your body, your from your pelvis. So you're kind of using your stomach muscles, and you're just kind of tracing a tiny circle very slowly in a clockwise direction. You're just starting with really minimal movement. It's like barely perceptible. It's almost as if you're imagining there was a force inside your pelvis that was moving you in a clockwise direction. And then once you have a sense of that movement, then still your body, but continue to feel the energy moving around the base of the spine or in the low abdomen, low pelvic area in that clockwise direction. If you want to pair it with the red sphere, that's fine, or you can just see it as a red circle moving around on its circular track. Or you might just feel the energy, imagining the feeling of energy moving in a clockwise direction in that area of your body. You're using your imagination. So it's a spinning sensation, a clockwise spinning sensation near the base of the spine. Breathing deeply, staying connected to the breath, breathing deeply into the low spine. So you can stay with the spinning and continue with that feeling. If you want to, you can add the mantra, the seed syllable that is associated with this chakra, and it's Lam, Lam. So instead of saying it out loud, and you might pair it with that sense of clockwise spinning, kind of almost like a pulsing feeling of Lam, 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 Lam. So if you want to say it out loud a few times, just to get a feeling of the syllable, like I just did, say it out loud a few times. Lam, 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 lam. And then just say it and hear it inwardly. And if it feels like your mind's getting overwhelmed with too many things, you can shift to just the mantra of Lam, or you can stay with that sensation of clockwise spinning near the base of the spine, or you can pair them. If the mind starts to get overwhelmed and is thinking too much, though, or focusing too hard, just simplify it. Just pick one or the other, whatever you feel drawn to. And now releasing the mantra, releasing the visualization, and just sitting back and resting. I'm going to read you a poem from Hafiz, the Sufi mystic, and just allow the poem to wash over you. Just be in a state of rest, knowing that you don't have to think about this. The words will fall on you and you'll absorb whatever you need. It's called All the Hemispheres. Leave the familiar for a while. Let your senses and bodies stretch out like a welcomed season onto the meadow and shores and hills. Open up to the roof. Make a new watermark on your excitement and love. Like a blooming night flower, bestow your vital fragrance of happiness and giving upon our intimate assembly. Change rooms in your mind for a day. All the hemispheres in existence lie beside an equator in your heart. Greet yourself in your thousand other forms as you mount the hidden tide and travel back home. All the hemispheres in heaven are sitting around a fire chatting while stitching themselves together into the great circle inside of you. Going to end our practice today by imagining all of us gathered here today in a big, big circle in a beautiful park outside. May the fruits of our practice today spread outwards in all directions and help to end the suffering of all beings everywhere, and help all beings to know intimately the causes and conditions of true happiness and the end of suffering. A deep bow to each one of you for taking the time to go inward. Meditation is truly a selfless practice in that when we go inward and heal all of our own inner wounds and imbalances, or rather dedicate our lifetime to healing ourselves, this ripple effect spreads outwards and affects everyone that we touch for the better. So thank you for practicing. And as always, I have a lot of gratitude to each one of you and the energy that we're creating here in this community, this online community for now. And someday we'll be able to be in person together again. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Looks like maybe there's, oh, a thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, Michael. And to those of you that are leaving, hope to see you next week. And if not, just a reminder that everything, all the meditations are recorded and available on the Monona Terrace website. Last week was a yoga nidra. If you missed that, if you're looking for some deep relaxation, and you're welcome, Lisa. And I mention this every week, and I will mention it again. I'm very interested in working one-on-one with people that are interested in transformation, and at this time using this energy that's going on in the planet right now to really taking advantage of it to transform your life, and create more freedom, more balance, and more joy. I'm trained as a psychiatrist, as many of you know, but I really don't even, it doesn't really encompass what I'm doing these days, although I can prescribe medications, but really transformational healing is what I'm doing, and helping people get in touch with their own inner wisdom and their own inner teacher. So if you have any wish to connect with me, just email Misty. When you get your feedback, then you can just reply to Misty and she'll connect you with me. Got a couple questions and some thank yous. You're welcome. Sonia says, while visualizing clockwise spinning, is it easier to imagine anterior, posterior, or a lateral direction? So I'm not envisioning a linear movement. I'm envisioning a 3D movement. So I guess I'm not sure what you mean by lateral. Do you mean like up in the body, circular like that? I guess the way, I don't think there's any right or wrong way to do it. That's the thing, is this is all subjective. And the way that I was visualizing it was an energy like this. So an energy going in a circle. I mean, I was picturing a sphere rotating in a circle, in a clockwise circle. I hope that helps. Pamela, I would enjoy continuing on with the chakras and love the poem at the end. Deep gratitude. You're welcome. And yeah, I like the idea of spending a month or so on each chakra. Yeah. Okay, Lisa, towards the end, I was twirling the globe internally to Lam, and it ended up being 4 Lams on the deep in breath and 4 Lams on the deep exhale. Then there was a quiet inner explosive flow, and my eyes welled up. Then your poem referenced water, which made perfect sense. That's beautiful, Lisa. That's the thing with like all these meditations, is each one of us is going to experience them slightly differently, and our own imagination is going to make it alive for each one of us. So that's perfect. Like you just went with what was coming up for you. Because we have this energy system within our body. And so when we tune into it, many of us will get a feeling for it or an image. And if that didn't happen, don't worry about it. These are subtle energies, you know, that some people can feel and some people can't. And it doesn't mean you're doing it right or wrong. So just encouraging you just to continue to tune into the body. You know, there's such wisdom, as I've said before, there's such wisdom in the body. And there's such a sense of disconnect that many of us have. I'm starting to believe that it's even something that's sort of developmental that happens in adolescence. Most of us, have a sense of being connected to our bodies, being embodied in childhood. You watch children play, they look very embodied. So unless we've had severe trauma in early childhood, which many people have, and have to disconnect from their bodies because it creates a sense of safety for them for that period of time. Most of us have a memory of what it feels like to be embodied. And even if you don't, you can relearn how to be embodied or how to live in the body. And what I'm noticing with my own history of anxiety is that the more I tune into the sensations of my body, instead of ignoring them and stuffing them away, the safer I feel and the less anxiety I have. And when I am feeling anxious, if I can go outside, especially, and put my feet on the ground or put my hands on the ground or even like lay on the ground, that really can help. Let's see. Mary says, I also love the idea of spending time with the chakras, maybe with associated mantras too. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, Mary, that I'll teach you the seed syllable that goes with each of the chakras. These Wednesday meditations are so lovely. Thanks. They're lovely for me too. So thank you. Yeah, and while I'm waiting to see if there are any other questions, I'll just talk briefly about emotions, because I think it's such a commonly misunderstood thing, because, like I was saying, how most of us in adolescence, I think there's a need to disconnect from the body. For many, many of us, I know that that was true for me. I mean, it's such a time of insecurity and such a time of like self-consciousness and um, just really feeling unsure about ourselves, and our bodies are changing, and we, can really feel a sense of like what is happening in this body. So I think a lot of people disconnect from their bodies, and then that continues. But I think as we age, there's this way of recognizing, oh, I can come home to my body, I can come back home. And I always mention trauma because so many people have trauma and don't recognize it as trauma. And maybe we should use a different word because I think it's so stigmatized. But, you know, most people don't recognize that if they have, you know, a sense of not feeling understood or not feeling worthy or not feeling loved, um, that probably relates back to childhood. And it's not about blaming our parents, because most of the time parents are doing the best that they can with what they have. But we have to remember that almost everybody has wounds. I mean, everybody that I know. And so our parents were parenting us from a wounded space. And so it's not about judgment or blame towards our parents, but it's just recognizing that even though, I mean, sometimes our parents weren't doing their best job, but sometimes they were. And even when parents have issues like drug abuse or alcoholism or are physically abusive, they're coming from their own wounding. Not that that makes it okay, but if you're sensing that there's kind of this underlying fear that's in you a lot of the time or most of the time, I would really encourage you to seek professional help. And I'm not saying that just so you'll contact me and work with me. That would be lovely. I love to work with people who are interested in meditation. But, recognizing that if there is this underlying sense of fear, that it may relate, that it often presents in the body. And, that until we develop this compassionate, kind way of being with ourselves, meditation, I've seen people use it as a way to shut down emotion rather than open to emotion and open to healing. And not that that's bad or wrong either. Like, I'm getting away from this entire concept of good and bad. Um, you know, Many of us need to, I needed to block out the trauma that I had been through until I was in my early 30s. And, I'd been meditating for many years, and that just was how my path was. And then, the trauma work happened more so in my 30s and now 40s. So, and there's no right age. It's so variable. So, trust your own inner voice. It'll tell you. And the more you practice listening to your body, because your body is your inner voice, it's connected to your inner voice. I have a couple more questions. Can you recommend any research about the fight, flight, freeze response triggering physical pain? Yeah. I don't know of any research off the top of my head, Kim, but there is definitely an association between fight, flight, or freeze, which is exacerbated in people with a history of trauma or neglect or just chaotic or stressful childhoods. There is definitely an association between that and pain. So there's a high correlation between PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and pain disorders. And there's a high correlation of healing trauma being associated with a reduction in pain and a more tolerable level of pain. And so, yeah, if you're having a lot of pain, I would encourage you to try to find someone who practices mind body techniques. Um, I use something called trauma releasing exercises, TRE, with the clients that I work with, to help them get in their body. And TRE seems to lower that fight, flight, or freeze response. And so a lot of the people that I've worked with have less pain when they use TRE to lower the fight, flight, or freeze response. There's so many good books out there, though. A book that pops to mind that has a lot of references to research, and I'm sure, I'm not remembering if it has a specific chapter on pain, but it would be relevant, I think. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And I think the author's name is Bessel van der Kolk. But The Body Keeps the Score is definitely the title. So you could start there. I would start with The Body Keeps the Score. And yeah, if, and I would just, you could Google, that and see if there are any research articles, but I imagine there's definitely a correlation. What was the app that you mentioned? Insight, INSIGHT, like I have an insight timer. Marcia. Yeah, that's a great app. I love that app. I use it literally every day. It has a timer on it so you can record your meditations, and it keeps track of, for those of you who like to see progress and get stars, get gold stars, I find it motivating to, use it to try to keep a daily practice, because it keeps track of how many days in a row you've been meditating. And, I think, like I've said before, it's the frequency and the consistency of a practice that creates the long-term shift in your life. And I mean, that's why we're meditating, right? We're not meditating to be good meditators. At least I'm not. I'm meditating to create more freedom and more joy in my life and more compassion for myself and everybody else. So it's the frequency of practice that is really important. Yeah. Looks like it's 1 o'clock and I don't see any more questions. So deep bow to each one of you. I hope you have a beautiful day. It looks like it's really gorgeous outside. Enjoy the day and maybe walk barefoot. Walk barefoot if you can, or lay down on the ground. There's so many beautiful parks to watch the sunset from in Madison. Just get outside right now. And you can really support your root chakra by just simply getting outside, or putting your hands in the dirt, or putting your feet on the ground and just being, you don't even have to try that hard. Have a great day.